What happens when a government-run school actually punishes the students who are excelling, who are doing great, who should be winning awards, but instead they hide those awards from their kids just because of, equity might make the other kids feel bad. That's exactly what happened in Northern Virginia, Fairfax County, Thomas Jefferson High School, which has been in the news quite a bit over the last couple of years. And this is just the latest escapade from this ridiculous suburb of Washington, D.C. Joining us right now is the mom who actually discovered this scandal, Shauna Yashar. Shauna, thank you for joining us and telling your story.
Thanks so much for having me, Larry. I really appreciate your interest in it.
Well, this is one of those things that's just too impossible to believe. All across, my kid is a senior in high school right now, so I know exactly what you're going through. Kids are getting these meritorious awards from the Merit Society or whatever it's called. And these are really important. It says that you've worked your butt off, you've done really well with your grades and with your tests, and then you can use that as one of the bullet points on your college applications. And how did you find out your child had won this award?
Well, so I was working here in my office. I work from home, and I was, busy one afternoon, and my husband comes in and he lays a piece of paper down on my desk, and he's like, "Look at this." And I looked at it, and it said that my son, Zachary, was a commended scholar for the National Merit Scholarship Corporation. I was so excited. I was so proud of him. It said he was in the top 3% of the kids who had, studied and taken for this exam. So I went and talked to my son. I'm like, "When did you get this? I'm so excited for you." And he goes, "Well, I got it in homeroom last week." And I looked at the paper, and it said it was dated September of 2022. I'm like, "Well, why did you not get this until November 14th? He goes, "I don't know. That's just when they handed it out." And they handed it out to the kids in the class, and we all instantly opened up our laptops and edited our Common Apps, which are their university, application portal for those of you with
Yes,
kids that are
very
doing this
familiar,
process.
yes.
So none of these kids knew that they had received this award. Well, that raised a lot of red flags to me, and I started asking questions.
Yeah.
And I started with the principal and asked her, when she received it and when the kids received it, so that I could figure out why it was delayed and
Yeah.
not getting it to the kids in time to put on their college
And
application.
let's get to that, because here you are, an engaged mother. And we're told, by the way, by teachers and by administrators, they really want parents to be engaged. Oh, they hate the fact that parents just drop off their kids and then they never hear. So here you are, you're engaged, you're talking, you want to know what's going on with your child. And is it true that the initial response you got was, "Oh yeah, that's not really our responsibility to notify the children"?
Yeah. So the principal at Thomas Jefferson High School, Ann Bonatavadis, sent me to the director of student services and said, "Student services hands these out." I signed them as soon as I got them, within 48 hours. Talked to the director of student services. So I called him. We had a conversation, and he told me, Brandon Kasaka, he told me that yeah, they had received them and they were holding on to them to be able to hand them out in class at a time when the other kids who didn't receive the award wouldn't feel bad about not getting the award. So that blew my mind, that you would
Yeah.
actually hold an award from a child because you were concerned about how everybody else was going to feel. And then putting these kids at a disadvantage where they couldn't use that award for their college applications, for scholarship applications, for whatever they need to use that for. It wasn't his right to hold that information.
And people should know now, if they're not up to speed on Thomas Jefferson High School. Thomas Jefferson High School has touted itself for years now as the #1 achieving high school in America. They've just recently changed their admission standards, or attempted to at least. It's still being fought out in court, for a more equitable admissions process. This was because they said certain races were overrepresented. What that reads is Asian kids, basically. They've changed the criteria, so it's not just meritorious. You could be an overachieving kid, but if you're of Asian descent, you might not get into this school. It's all shot through the lens of equity. It sounds like this is yet another example of Thomas Jefferson High School punishing the achievers out of equity.
Yeah, they downplay these kids' successes. They don't want to highlight them. They don't want to, put them on any sort of pedestal, because they don't want it to be viewed in any sort of way that they are achieving based on their merit. They're
Yeah.
not rewarding merit. They don't want to encourage it from the students, and that's just not really, it's not really right. And they're, like you said, Larry, they're kind of talking out of both sides of their mouth. In one phrase, they're saying how smart and great and wonderful the kids are, but in the other turn, they're downplaying it and basically hindering these kids' abilities to go on and achieve later on in life by not providing them this information as quickly as possible.
And, this whole idea of not wanting to make the other kids feel bad. I mean, I remember in my high school, I know it was a long time ago, but we had a special awards assembly. Every senior that was graduating that year, they had the whole student body there. They spent like an hour, almost like a pep rally. We have so many pep rallies for football players and basketball players. They had a pep rally for all the kids who had achieved academically and gotten scholarships and gotten awards, because that should be celebrated. And nobody in that room felt sad or angry or depressed or suicidal because these kids achieved. Every kid has their lane. Every kid has their path to achieve. This is what's at play here, do you think? You've been through this high school for 4 years now.
Well, that's funny that you mentioned the award ceremony, because it was something that I talked to Brandon Consaka, the director of student services, about. And he said, oh, that would take us days to announce all these kids' awards. Wow, Larry, what a problem to have.
Yeah.
Right? Like, I would sit there for days and listen to these kids have these awards. This is what these kids work for.
Yeah.
Thomas Jefferson High School is not known necessarily for their football team. They have a joke phrase, we came for the sports, is kind of what the kids kind of joke about the school. I mean, they love their football program. They've got great kids that play this sport, but that's not what these kids are known for. These kids work hard academically, and we should celebrate it, and we should take the time to celebrate those achievements, just like we celebrate the kids who get full ride scholarships for athletics or arts or theater or anything else
Right.
that they work on. These are what these kids' skills are, and they work hard at their craft, and they should be proud of it. And we as parents should also be there, able to support them and cheer them on as well.
Well, and then in this case, there's also a very fundamental, tangible benefit from getting these awards that work for college applications. And just to be clear, yes, this has happened here in this high school in a suburb of Washington, D.C., but I assure you this is being replicated in so many school districts around this country. This is the new trend, to dumb down the government-run schools and actually, again, I don't want to use the word punish all the time, but sort of downplay the achievements of some students because, it might make other students feel bad. This is what equity looks like in real life. But Shauna, has this affected your son's college applications? I mean, he sort of missed the boat here on early acceptance because he wasn't able to include this.
Right. Hasn't gotten any acceptances yet. We're still waiting on some of those. We're really hopeful for the process, so it's hard to say how it's going to affect him or not. I will say that for a number of kids, though, Larry, that there are actually scholarships associated with this award. More notably in the National Merit, program, the National Merit Scholars have a scholarship program that they kick off. But for these commended scholars, it actually opens up scholarship opportunities within employers of the parents. So if your child received one of these awards, you as a parent need to be notified about it so that you can go to your employer and request a particular scholarship application that becomes available when that award gets triggered.
Yeah.
So that wasn't even notified to a number of these kids. So that's probably affecting, many of them and their ability to get financial, potential awards associated with this as well. So
Yeah.
it's not simply just the college admissions process, because who knows what college admission counselors look at these days. It's hard to say, but definitely the monetary aspect that goes along with it made this particularly a bad judgment call on the part of Thomas Jefferson High School to not only notify the children when they did, which was late, but not even to notify the parents at all, which need to be involved in this process.
Yeah, in fact, when most big organizations make a bad judgment call, as you put it, that ends up hurting people financially, that can be actionable, but we'll watch for that at a later space. Real fast, though, considering we're talking about education, at the very least, Shauna, has your son learned something from this experience? Has this been a teachable moment?
He has. He's actually been really proud of what I've been doing and speaking out on behalf of all the students within Fairfax County Public Schools.
You moms are going to be changing this country from the ground up. More to come on O'Connor Tonight.